last month, we had a really good conversation about thinking about AI, and we were talking about this concept of AI brain fry, which is very different than AI brain rot. So brain rot, right, is just sort of like the mass-produced stuff that's just sort of like being put on the internet. Think the sort of TikTokification of things, but just the really bad generated content. And AI brain fry is the idea that certain people are being asked to do a lot more within their workload because they have access to AI. And so it involves a lot more context switching. And so through that conversation, we ended up having really thinking about how to actually think about leveraging AI within your workflow. And so today, what we're going to just be talking about is how to think about AI within your workflow. And so the point of view that we have at FNT Labs is AI works best when you bring it into your workflow with the right context. So a stat that I found really interesting is from the Rand Corporation. So they did this in 2024, which feels like maybe a century ago in AI world, but there's not been, it takes a while for decent studies to come out. Is they found that the number one root cause of AI project failure was organizations misunderstanding or miscommunicating the problem that AI is being used to solve. And so what that means is it's not that AI projects fail because the technology doesn't work. It's because it's being used and applied in a way that doesn't actually solve a problem. And so what the RAND study has said, as well as the research that our team has done, is that most teams, as well as individuals, reach for a tool before they actually go ahead and name the problem that they're trying to solve. And so I'm going to give you a 3-step process that we have found that works really well to be able to address that. So the process that we propose is called MAP. So for map your workflow, add the context, and then prompt and polish. And today we're really focusing on the M of mapping your workflow. And we'll talk a little bit about A, and then we had Aaron Davis from Wichita State University came to the community practice a couple of months ago and shared a bit about prompting, and I can share his whole presentation if you're curious about prompting. But I really think that if you want AI to be successful, whether that is like an enterprise rollout where you're using AI to look through, faxes. So out of curiosity, how many of you have done process mapping before? Have any of you gone through process mapping? Okay. So yeah, Siobhan has.
Yes.
But okay. Oh, and Nadine has as well. Wonderful. So I'm gonna just walk us through at a high level an example of process mapping, and then we're gonna go with a public health example as well. So when we run these workshops, we tend to do this in person, and it's a really fun way to get warmed up. So I am a mother of 2 toddlers, both of whom think that peanut butter and jelly is just God's greatest gift to humanity. So I make a bunch of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And so if I think about that as a process that I do on a regular basis, I can map it out. And so if we think about what this process looks like, so my toddler says that they ask for a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We're going to assume that they ask for it very nicely. And so that's our beginning point. And then it's also helpful if we define our ending point. So I'm just saying that here, my start is Junia asks for a sandwich, and my end point is that she is eating the sandwich. We're not saying that she has to eat the whole sandwich. But then we have what we call like a decision point. So she's going to ask for the sandwich. I'm going to say, hey, why don't you go ahead and get some water from the fridge? And in the meantime, I'm going to go through and I'm going to gather the ingredients. I'm going to make the sandwich. I'm going to place the sandwich on a plate. I'm going to give the plate to my child, and she's going to eat the sandwich, right? That's like a very high level way of thinking about it. You can see here that I didn't go into like the micro details of like, I walk over to the pantry and I get the peanut butter out. I walk to the fridge, I get the jelly out. You can go into whatever level of detail makes sense for you. There's people who like do process mapping professionally, and there's different reasons why you'd go into different levels of detail. But the idea here is that you are looking at a process and then putting it on paper. And it's helpful if you do it in this formal way, but you can also do it in an informal way. So I want to give an example